Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing this video a little bit different from how I usually have done my videos before. So you guys are going to see how I recreate that makeup look, starting with my brows and then moving on. However, instead of explaining to you what I'm doing, I'm going to be having a little chat with you guys. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I have my series called Chatting con Chavela, where I talk about different topics. Lately, I haven't been able to upload on there, so I'm taking it as a sign to do something a little bit different and moving my content to YouTube. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So yeah, if you're interested, keep watching. Today we're going to be talking about forgiving your parents. So lately I feel like I've been having a lot of conversations with my friends and just people in my life, clients and stuff like that, about our parents and our relationships with them and the things that we went through as children and how that can be, it's just there's a lot of traumatic experiences that happen just from being invalidated, from not being heard, from not being allowed to express your emotions or your feelings. And then taking that into adulthood, it's still there if you don't learn how to forgive them. Excuse me. So today, what I wanted to, touch on was, if you want to build a better connection with your parents, I feel like there's a few things that we could all do, that we could all remember and put to use in that journey of learning to forgive them, because it can be very hard. For one, I would say, do not take their behavior personally. Most of the times when our parents are like yelling at us for certain things or they're upset at us for certain things, it's them projecting their own insecurities, their own beliefs, their own fears onto us and wanting to control us. I feel like their intentions, they mean well. However, it doesn't really mean that the way they're doing it is appropriate. So that's one thing. I feel a lot of our parents lacked the self-awareness that it took to raise emotionally intelligent children, because unfortunately their parents couldn't give them those tools either, and it's because their parents didn't have them, and so on and so forth. And we just, through the years, our people were just passing down different, values that just seemed very abusive. A lot of it built in abuse, and our people are suffering because of it. So just remember, your parents didn't have the tools, probably still don't, and you just got to let them be them and not take things personally, as hard as that can be, because it can be very triggering to have relationships with your parents if they don't lack if they lack the self-awareness to not invalidate you left and right. Another thing would be to not expect them to validate your feelings towards your childhood and your experiences with them. A lot of the times, I feel like a common thing is parents saying, well, that's not what I was like. I wasn't trying to hurt you. That wasn't my intention. I just wanted the best for you. And that is invalidating for them to say that. Because what we want is for them to be like, I am so sorry that I hurt you. Despite me trying my best, I didn't know that I was hurting you so much. Can you please forgive me? That would be the ideal thing for them to tell us, but unfortunately that's not like real for a lot of us. So just remember that they can't validate us. You have to validate yourself and know that despite the outside factors, you are right to feel anger and pain because of how you were treated. Another thing is be ready to set the example of how you would like for them to treat you or to have treated you, because if they knew how, they would have done it, but they don't. So if you know to do better, then do better. Show them, lead by example of what is an appropriate way to treat another human being, especially if you have children. Break that cycle. Don't abuse your children. Show your parents what it looks like to raise children in a way where there's not so much hostility, there's not so much neglect, not so much invalidation, not so much abuse. It's more of treating your children like people and not property. I feel like our parents, at least, like if, oops, I hit the mic. If your parents were anything like mine, they kind of treat you like you're gonna do exactly what I say, and anything that isn't what I say is plain out disrespect. That's crazy. It's crazy, okay? So lead by example. We can't be telling people how to behave, because if they're not ready, and if they're not seeing anyone else model that behavior, chances are you're just going to end up fighting with them all the time for trying to tell them how to behave. And you're kind of doing what it is that they were trying to do with you as a child, and that's not how it works. Everything is better when you lead by example and through love, because it gives people the opportunity to feel safe behaving that way. And sometimes your parents are going to get triggered by the way that you behave. If you have kids, like, they're going to be triggered by the way that you want to raise your kids if it's not how they raised you. Because I know for my parents, it was hard to hear a baby crying, and for me not to just like have her shut up. Like, I wasn't shutting it down. I allow my kids to express how they feel, and sometimes that can be very overwhelming and very triggering for myself, so I imagine for them too, because I wasn't allowed to express myself that way as a child. However, they're my kids, and if it makes you uncomfortable, sorry, dude. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're my mom and dad and you don't want to hear the kids crying because you've had a long day. They're kids, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to nurture their growth as people, however triggering that might be for somebody. It's not really my problem. So enforcing boundaries like that is another part of setting the example, even if it means that you got to keep your distance from them, or you got to like constantly tell them, no, I'm not going to do that, or no, you're not going to treat my kids that way, or no, you're not going to treat me that way, you're not going to talk to me that way. All of that can be very hard, but it's part of the process of learning to forgive them, because you gave yourself a voice finally. And as an adult, we have that power where we can stand up for ourselves and we can enforce boundaries and demand that respect. And if we don't get that respect, then we create distance, because our mental health is the most important. in this process of forgiving your parents. Something that I would recommend, at least something that worked for me, was really getting curious and learning about what it is that my parents went through as children, what their childhood was like, and the things that they endured. And it just like really made me realize how much shitty stuff they went through. And it kind of put the puzzle pieces together for me of like, why did I have a childhood like that? And it was because my parents had their own traumas, and 3 kids, we probably triggered the shit out of them, and they didn't have the tools to properly I guess like raise us in a way that wasn't abusive and very like instilling shame for behaving certain ways and giving like the silent treatment and all these things. Like, it just teaches you that that's what they learned and what they think is normal, and that's why they behave that way, and it's not personal, for us. Or, I mean, as a kid, obviously you don't know that, but that's what I'm saying. As an adult, get curious about their childhood. It's going to give you a lot of insight into why they were the way that they were as parents. Another thing, practice compassion. See your parents as humans. See them, apart from being your mom and dad. Take that hat off as their child and look at them as a human. And, try to understand why they are the way that they are, even if it hurts you. I'm not saying that if your parents are constantly hurting you, just forgive them and keep talking to them and no. If your parents are not healthy for you, create distance. Do what is healthy for you. If they are not people that are worthy of being in your life, then that's how it is. We can't have a relationship with people at the expense of our own health. That is not healthy. This is strictly for, parents who, they're good fucking people. They just aren't emotionally intelligent, and they aren't self-aware enough to, cut some crap out and really like act mature. A lot of our parents can't act mature, I feel. But yeah, extend compassion to them. Give them grace for not knowing any better. Because that's literally a lot of the reason why our parents did the things that they did, is because they literally didn't know better. It's, I feel, that simple and complex at the same time. That's another reason why it makes it so hard to forgive them because, like, if you've gained the self-awareness, it's like, why couldn't you? Why couldn't my parents do that? They did what they could so that you could be where you are, and sometimes, they pass the baton to us. They do the best that they can, and it leads us on a journey of self-healing, of self-awareness, and in turn we end up teaching our parents. So it's all like a ripple effect like that, you know what I mean? I guess one of the last things that I can add is just to remember that despite how you were being treated, it is not a direct reflection of your worth. It doesn't equate to the type of human that you are, to the type of treatment that you deserve. You are worthy of feeling peace and feeling love and feeling validated and feeling seen and feeling heard and feeling like you can just be yourself and accept good things for yourself despite how you were raised, despite the experiences that you went through, despite all the internalized messages that our parents were throwing at us left and right about the type of people that we are, and if you're a good kid or a bad kid, or if you gave them a hard time, or whatever it may be. Remember that you're grown now and you can create a beautiful, successful, peaceful life. And it's up to you whether your parents get to come along for that or not. And if you decide that you want them to continue to be a part of your life, and you want to continue getting triggered by them, because even as adults we're triggered by them, just be compassionate with them and compassionate with yourself, because it is hard. It is so hard to forgive the people who were supposed to validate your whole fucking existence and make you feel like the most important thing in the world, and nothing less of that. And if you didn't get that, give that to yourself, please. You deserve it. You deserve to feel like you are loved and you are loved, and you can give love and receive, and not at the expense of anything, without having to feel bad about yourself, without someone disrespecting you, without someone crossing your boundaries. The people who really love us and who really want to experience us in their life, they're going to do it in a respectful way. They're going to do it where they're not hurting you, where they're not crossing your boundaries. And if they do, they're going to be able to ask for forgiveness and not just act like, nothing happened. Or like, I don't know. It's a bit of a journey to be able to forgive your parents, because it just brings up a lot of shit. I remember when I first started my healing journey, and I was coming to a point where I felt like I had to forgive my parents to feel better. I started to grieve a childhood that they couldn't give me. I started to grieve that I was physically abused. I was starting to grieve that I was never allowed to express myself, that I was always shut down. All of that can be really heartbreaking when you think about it, how it's just like, poor little me. She deserved so much better. She deserved someone who would hug her when she cried instead of telling her to shut up, or you were going to give her a reason to cry about. Like, what? That's crazy. And and it's something that creates, problems as an adult, because I didn't know how to not people please. I didn't know how to stand up for myself. I didn't know how to voice my opinion or my feelings or my thoughts. I didn't know how to enforce boundaries. I didn't know how to show up for myself. I didn't know how to self-regulate. I didn't know how to discern between like what is good treatment and what is abuse. It's wild. And then becoming a mother, holy frick, like I was being triggered left and right. My bills didn't stop, my depression didn't stop, my anxiety didn't stop, my feelings of unworthiness didn't go away when I had my child. And then I have this baby who needs someone to be able to show up for them. And how was I supposed to do that when I couldn't even show up for myself? How? I just wanted my baby to shut the fuck up and let me be at peace and not trigger me, because crying is a big trigger for me when my kid's crying, because I was not allowed to cry ever. So that's just, it's a hard journey. It's a hard process. It's a lifelong process. It takes a lot of the desire to understand where other people come from and know that everyone has their own perspective, everyone has their own journey, everyone has their own traumas, life experiences that they go through that just shape us into certain type of people that is not really our truest self. It's just us behind all kinds of conditioning and trauma, unresolved trauma at that, internalized like messages of who we are, and a lot of it's a lie. It's not true, but it feels true, and it really depends on us to like pause and be like, you know what? I don't choose this life for myself anymore. I refuse to feel bad about the childhood that I had, because I'm not there anymore. I'm right now, and I can't live my life feeling bad about how I was raised and treated as a child. Now it's up to me to give myself everything that I needed as that little girl. And that is hard, because no one taught me that. No one taught me. So I'm teaching myself and loving myself and hugging myself and validating myself and supporting myself and hyping myself and all the good stuff. All the unconditional love that I needed as a child, I'm giving it to myself now. And along with that comes forgiving my parents, because it teaches me to also forgive myself. And I wish that for everybody. Give yourself everything that you didn't get, that you need right now, that you know that you need. Give it to yourself, because you deserve it. You deserve to feel like the baddest bitch on the planet, in the kindest, most humblest way, but still powerful. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was actually having a conversation with one of my good friends about this stuff, so I wanted to come on here and share with you guys. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is the end. I'll see you guys in my next one. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.